Welcome to the Jet Set Hers podcast. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Jaimie. We discuss travel, adventure, and everyday life. Listen with us, and let's go somewhere.
Hey.
Yo.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Who do we have with us today, Jaimie?
Today we have my friend Kim.
Your friend.
My best friend.
Thank you.
My best friend Kim of all time.
Since 6th grade.
Since 6th grade. Yeah.
Dang.
So it's actually been a really long time. So, Hey Kim.
Hi.
Thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me. It's nice
Welcome.
to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Jenny, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking an IPA. Surprise, surprise. But it's from Odell Brewing. And it's just their standard Indian Pale Ale, their regular old IPA.
I've never heard of Odell. Is that native to Colorado?
It is. I would say it's our second largest brewery up here in northern Colorado.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
Odell.
Yeah, I would say they compete with like New Belgium for sure.
Got you.
So,
I've heard of New Belgium.
Yeah, New Belgium's huge. It's definitely probably our biggest brewery. They have some really good beer, but it's not my favorite place to go.
Yeah, I think I know New Belgium. That's a Colorado brewery?
Yeah, so the main one is
Gotcha.
out of Fort Collins, but they also have one in Asheville, North Carolina.
Okay, gotcha.
I want to
Yeah.
go there.
You definitely
Asheville.
know it. New Belgium is Fat Tire. I know you have.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
see?
Oh,
yeah, that's the
right.
one with the bike that's on it. Yeah, it does has the cool artwork. It does.
Yep.
It
Voodoo
does,
Ranger
it does.
Is there popular?
Oh, Voodoo Ranger, you said?
Yeah.
What are you drinking, Jaimie?
Oh, my gosh. Well, I also have an IPA, a hazy IPA, Lagunitas Hazy Wonder IPA. I've never heard of it before, but I just snacked it at the store, and it's actually really tasty. It's pretty bright, 6%, easy to drink. So cheers to us today, ladies.
How would you say that compares to the other hazy IPA that they
Which
have?
one?
Didn't you just try a hazy IPA from them a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, so I had Little Something Hazy IPA. This is less hoppy for sure. Way more easier to go down. The other one I like more because it's hoppy, but this is definitely like a summer beer. You could just really easy to drink.
Love it. Kim, what are you drinking?
I actually have two beverages here. I have a cup of tea.
Double fisting it.
Yeah. One is I'm drinking some green tea that Jaimie so lovingly made for me before we started. And I'm drinking some Prosecco, some chilled Prosecco from the Cupcake region. It's from Cupcake Vineyards.
I know that brand. I've seen it in the store.
Yeah.
It's delish.
Yeah, I like that brand too.
Mm-hmm.
It's authentic Italian. I don't know if we mentioned this yet, but we just met Kim, but she's Italian too. So
Yeah.
What a great drink for this episode.
Perfect. Yeah.
Guest
It's
star.
like you knew I was coming and you picked a perfect beverage for me.
I subconsciously picked it for you. All right, well, Kim, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm Kim, and I am 32 years old.
I
I am
32 years
I'm a teacher.
old.
I teach high school, which has been really interesting since we got out of school indefinitely in March. And I get to go back in a few weeks, which is exciting and kind of scary. Me and my husband live right outside of Detroit, and we have 2 dogs. And we really like to travel. Usually around this time of the year, we would be heading back from somewhere because it's about, like, school's about to start and our anniversary is in early September. So we usually take a trip around this time of the year. So it's really weird not to be traveling during this really crazy time.
What kind of dogs do you have?
They're both mutts. One's a big mutt, one's a little mutt. Floyd and Pearl.
Floyd and Pearl.
Yeah.
I love them.
I love them, and I haven't even met them.
Mm-hmm. They're loving dogs. They're like just so thankful to have a house, I feel like.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Aw.
Pearl and Floyd, they just love you. They just want to be by you.
They're going to be very upset when I go back to school because I've been home since March 13th, which is
spoiled,
crazy. Yeah, they're totally spoiled.
Gotten used to.
Yeah. So it's going to be hard for everybody.
Has your husband been home as well with the COVID, or has he been working through it?
He was home for a few weeks. He got laid off for, more than a few weeks. It was a few months, I think. And that was the most time that we've ever been able to spend together, ever.
Yeah.
In our whole relationship, which has been, like almost 13, 14 years. So it was challenging. Like, it was really great and really fun, but, like, you learn a lot about somebody when you spend that much time together.
Yeah.
And, like...
For sure.
It was really good, but it was definitely an experience.
Definitely.
For sure. Yeah.
Aw. What's his job? What does he do?
He works for a company that makes prototype parts for the automotive company. So, like, when the automotive company is coming out with a new car, they have to get, like, special parts made because they're not out on the assembly line yet.
Gotcha.
And so he fixes all the machines that make those parts.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But he's back to work and stuff now, too?
He is back to work. He's been back to work for a while.
Gotcha.
So what are you going to talk to us about today?
Well, I guess I'm talking about my experiences in Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
I have a lot of friends from Puerto Rico in Orlando. I do. The last guy I dated was from Puerto Rico, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's
It's a wonderful place.
You loved it when you went?
I absolutely love it there.
Yeah, I do really want to go. I've seen some pretty badass pictures.
Yeah. And what's awesome about Puerto Rico, if anybody's interested in visiting, is you don't need your passport to go because it is a territory of the United States. But unfortunately, they don't vote, but they're a territory. So they're under the same government as the United States, but they don't have voting rights, which is insane and totally unfair.
Absolute. Wow. That's not cool.
Yeah, I would get annoyed in Orlando because Orlando has a lot of Puerto Rican residents just because of the hurricane. A lot of people moved over. And a lot of people are just like, oh, can you work here? And I'm just like, they're U.S. citizens. Like,
right.
People don't understand that.
Yeah,
right.
I feel like that's just kind of a forgotten, I don't know. We just don't treat them. I just feel like we treat like our own territory. It should be a state, but we forget
that they're part of us.
They're part of us.
Right.
Yeah.
It just seems unfair to me.
Absolutely.
So, Kim, you used to go to Puerto Rico as a kid. Am I right?
I went to Puerto Rico first as a kid.
Gotcha.
So my parents, growing up, both worked for Northwest. And, as a family, a middle-class family, my parents being able to take us on trips and stuff was, really huge and awesome. So I was able to go to a lot of really cool places, as a young person and experience a lot of cool stuff. So it was, a really big part of my childhood.
That is super cool.
So we were able to take summer vacations on standby. And I don't know if people know what this is, but standby is when there are open flights or open seats on a flight. And then if somebody decides they didn't show up for their flight or they missed it, then extra people get to come on. So as employees of Northwest, which is now Delta, Northwest doesn't exist anymore. We would go to the airport and sometimes we wouldn't get a seat on the airplane because all the people showed up.
Right.
So we'd have to come back and the next morning.
Try again.
Which as a kid is actually really exciting because you're like, oh man, I don't know. Are we going to make it this time?
Right.
So it was just I thought everybody flew that way.
That's really funny.
Yeah. It was a really, really cool thing to experience so young.
Yeah, that's crazy. Both parents working for the airlines too, so.
That's awesome. That's the way to do it, too, because you can travel on a budget really easily.
Right.
Do people charge you less? Do the airlines charge you less when you're trying to fly on a standby, trying to purchase a standby ticket, or how does that work?
Yeah, at the time, that's a good question. At the time, it was, discounted, and it would just, come right out of their paycheck.
Gotcha.
So they could have...
Oh, wow.
Right, and it was... Obviously, it's kind of because you didn't know if you were actually going to get on the plane. A lot of those perks have gone away now that they are a different company and it's not a thing that they do anymore, really, from what I understand. My parents have both since retired, so things have probably changed, or
sure.
I'm not really sure.
The most up to date, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, Amber, my roommate who we've talked to, her ex worked for an airline. And then I also have a family friend that works for an airline. And from what I understand is you can actually fly for free if it's within the U.S. And you can even get you can put your spouse or partner on there and they can fly free too. It's only standby though, like you said. So you might not get your flight, you might get it. And then you can fly internationally for a super, super discounted flight.
Wow. I wonder if it depends on what airline and what position you have.
Exactly. Yeah, I think they all have slightly different, probably, what is it, benefits, I guess is what you would call it.
Right.
But that's how Amber got to Bali, because they flew super cheap all the way to Bali. You do have to pay on the international, but it's super cheap compared to, what we would go and pay.
Right. That's amazing.
So if you can get a job for an airline and you want to travel, probably a good idea.
The first time I went, I was in 4th grade going into 5th grade. And it was the first place that I went to that was not just tropical, but it felt like a different country.
Right.
It was just
felt completely different.
It felt super different. Right. And I remember the first thing that I noticed as a young kid was the women's fashion. Everybody just was wearing the most colorful, stylish, high-end clothing and just walking down the street they were on runways.
Wow.
Big, small, short, tall, black, white. It was just amazing.
That's super cool.
I just remember thinking wow, people in Michigan, they don't walk like that. They don't have there's just something about in the air of being there that was really interesting to me. So it grabbed me right away. It was something I had never seen before. So just the attitudes and the people, all different types of people living all together, and the beaches were really amazing. But I don't remember a ton of it. You remember things how you see them in pictures sometimes, I think.
Sure.
I remember it being just very clean and posh. Cool. I felt very cool as a young kid
to be there.
Yeah. My mom she let me pick out a dress at one of these boutiques, and I was really small when I was that age. I was a late bloomer.
Yeah.
So she picked me out one of these I picked out one of these butterfly dresses, and I remember feeling okay, I feel part of the scene now. You
fit in with the locals.
Right. And they get
your flowy dress.
Yeah, exactly.
That's super cool.
I think I still have that dress too.
Really? Oh my God, so awesome. And you said you're in 4th grade then?
Yeah, 4th going into 5th.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how many times have you been back since then?
So I've been back once again.
Okay.
So I went back again for my honeymoon with my husband in 2016. So we got married 2016, and we took a few weeks between the wedding and the trip. And we first went to Fort Lauderdale, which is a place that I have visited a lot because I have family down there. And I know you guys are both very familiar with Florida.
Yes. Fort Lauderdale is really pretty, though.
Yeah. I had an aunt that had lived there most of the time growing up. So my mom and I would go visit her a lot. And then a few times my mom sent me down there solo, as a young teenager, which I felt like Kate Hudson in Almost Famous when she's on the airplane with the sunglasses, and she's very independent and free at the end of the movie. Mm-hmm. She's going to Morocco. I don't know if you're familiar with this movie, but I'm obsessed with it. So I don't know. Anyway,
I love that.
Yeah, so we went there first.
I'm on the plane alone.
Right.
Excuse you.
I felt.
Yes, I will take those crackers and cookies. Yes,
right.
I will have
so
a Sprite. No ice. No ice.
No ice, please.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So my brother and his girlfriend actually came with us because we had to fly from Detroit to Fort Lauderdale, and then Fort Lauderdale to San Juan. So we stayed in Fort Lauderdale for a few days. And we stay in this place called Lauderdale by the Sea. It's a neighborhood of Fort Lauderdale. It's an older neighborhood. It's on the what do you guys call the inland and the outland or something? Like, it's not in the inland. It's on the ocean.
Just on the beach.
Yeah, it's on the coast. It's on the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's not on the canal. So it's like this tiny strip of like a few miles maybe. And they're all hotels from like the 1950s and the 1940s.
So it's old.
It's super old. And
That's
there's
cool,
some,
though.
yeah, it's really cool. There's some sort of like city ordinance where for the time being, I don't think anybody can build up past like 3 stories. So they're kind of avoiding the whole condo. I guess there's a condo situation down there.
Yeah.
Where like really high condos take up the shoreline and block the view. So it's like super old fashioned and a lot of old people hang out there, which is like totally our speed.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And we don't rent a car. We used to take a cab to the neighborhood from the airport. And then we started Ubering when that became a thing. And then we don't rent a car. We just hang out in this like little area and we walk to the grocery store. And then they have like a free shuttle like that goes around the neighborhood.
Aww.
It goes to the library and stuff and the ice cream place. And it's just,
cute.
Yeah, it's really
Old-timey.
Really old-timey and super laid back. There's no nightlife really, which is great for me because I go to bed at 9 o'clock. So
Right.
yeah, so we went there first, had a wonderful time, but we almost got our hotel room robbed.
What? How?
Mm-hmm. So it was the last night that we were there, and after we did our little stint in Fort Lauderdale, we were going to go to Puerto Rico the next day. So we did like 3 days there, and then we took like a week in Puerto Rico.
Nice.
Together alone. We were staying in this little it was like a courtyard type of hotel. They're actually motels, so they're really tiny. And it was like a courtyard. So there was a pool in the middle of like the complex and a gate that went out into the beach. And at night, the staff locked everything, and then the staff went home. So it's not like a regular hotel where people would be on staff all the time.
Right.
The owner, at 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock or 10 o'clock would go home for the night. People that are staying there get keys. So you get a key to come in and out of the front, and then you get a key to go in and out of your room. Well, it was our last night with my brother. So we decided that we were going to go to bed and might have had a few beverages and, not really being super careful about stuff because it's a really safe place to visit. Well, we went to sleep and I couldn't sleep for some reason. I just could not figure out why. And I woke up out of like a dead sleep, I remember, and I looked over at like the curtains on the wall and they were glowing.
What?
Right. And I started freaking out. And I sat up out of bed and I just couldn't figure out what was going on. And I turned over to my right. This is like in this like the time of like 10 seconds. I turned over to my right and our door was open.
Oh my gosh.
And somebody was shining a flashlight into our hotel room in the middle of the night.
Oh my gosh.
While we were sleeping, like about to rob us.
Oh my gosh. And
I sat up and I was like, what's going on? Or I don't remember what I said. I was half asleep. And this voice was like, because I couldn't see. The flashlight was right in front of their face. And like, I couldn't see past anything.
Sure. It was pitch black otherwise. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The person was like, we're security for the hotel. And we're just making sure everybody's doors are locked. Make sure you lock your doors. And they closed the door and ran away. I wake up my husband. We can't find the person. I call the police. Like, it was like a whole big thing. And we were just like, thank goodness we didn't get all of our things stolen before we were on our way to San Juan, because we would have had no money, no cards, no ID to get on the airplane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could have been really bad.
Yeah.
That's crazy. What'd the cops say?
They kept asking me if I lived there.
What?
Well, I don't know why. They kept asking me if I had lived there, and there wasn't much that they could do. The person was gone, and I couldn't get a look at them. So they just checked out the area and stuff, and that was it. But needless to say, I didn't sleep for the rest of the night.
Oh, absolutely. Good thing you weren't asleep in the beginning of the night. Shoot.
Yeah, it's a good thing you woke up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was wild. First time I've ever had a problem like that on a trip.
So it was just you and Tom that went to San Juan. Your brother and his girlfriend didn't go with you guys?
No. And the funny thing about that is we were like, yeah, we're going to have some alone time as husband and wife in San Juan. And the whole time we were just missing them. We just wish they were here.
Right.
Because we had such a great time.
Oh.
Me and my brother hadn't been able to like travel like that since we were really young. So I think the last time we had been in that area together, we were maybe in like 7th grade or something like that. Yeah.
It's cool to be adults there again.
Yeah, it was nice to kind of like revisit like memories that we had with our parents, and we had stopped traveling as teenagers because we had other things going on. So it was kind of nice, kind of like to hang out where you were kids, you know.
Yeah, sure. And be able to drink.
Cool. Yeah, and not really worry about, you know, getting in trouble and stuff, you know, because you're an adult now.
That's crazy. I know that you can buy, I don't know the brands or the names, but you can buy little basically door stops that you put on hotel doors so that if you're like a female traveling by yourself, like to keep that kind of thing from happening.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of horror stories about like Airbnbs and stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
People breaking in, or even the people that own it are creepy and will like pop in and stuff like that. So it's good to have little...
Creepy AF.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not something I would have thought to have brought with me, but that's so cool that exists.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so tell us about going to Puerto Rico as an adult on your honeymoon.
The flight from Fort Lauderdale to San Juan is a very small plane. It's a little. I don't remember how long the flight is, but you're directly over the ocean the entire time.
Wow.
And I think it was maybe the 3rd time my husband had been on an airplane. And so I think the smaller plane was a little like off-putting for him at first. Yeah, a little freaky. And I remember experiencing like really, really bad turbulence. And I love turbulence. I think it's fun. But for someone that's
I've been flying my entire life, and I'm not scared to fly, but every time you hit that turbulence, like the ones where you like drop 10 feet in the air, I'm just like, this is it. We're going down.
I don't know, for some reason I get like a sick kick out of it. Like, we might be going down.
That is a sick kick. Fun. Oh my God.
I don't know why it's fun. I don't know. So anyway, we got there and we were just coming off of like almost getting robbed. So I'm a little shaken up and I haven't slept all night. So I'm cranky. I get cranky sometimes when I travel. So my husband is a saint from heaven.
Having to deal with you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were staying in, San Juan, but I think it's like the state that San Juan is in is called Condado. So we stayed at like a boutique hotel, which is a very first for us. Because by that point, like we just got married. All of our trips were very low budget, trying to save as much money and, you know, see as much as we could. So we had to stay at this boutique hotel, and it was amazing. I don't remember the name of it, but when I do, I will give it to you guys because it was such a nice place to stay, and the people that owned it were awesome. It was independently owned and just beautiful. They had like a piano downstairs, and I don't know, it was just really nice. We did some sightseeing after we got there, and I tried to kind of go around and show him all the places that I had been to when I was a kid, like the way I'd remembered it. But I remembered that since 1999, 1998, like we've been through a really rough recession, and a lot of the stuff that was there when I was a kid was either burnt out and like spray painted or like abandoned, or, you know, it was not the same place. I mean, it was still very beautiful and awesome, but it was a little hard to get my bearings about me because I had remembered it in such a certain way, you know, that kind of seeing it have like degraded and suffered like the same economy that, you know, we did here in Detroit was kind of, you know, really off-putting and sad. So, but it was really cool, like walking around with Tom and showing him all the places that I had stayed as a kid, and, you know, seeing like seeing a place that you'd been to through somebody else's eyes who has never been there before.
Sure.
Is like really satisfying to me because I want them to be really excited about.
Yeah, that's how I am too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
That's super cool. So did he love it?
Yes, he loved it immediately. We ended up staying down the street from, I don't know if they're called steakhouses there. But essentially that's what it is, because apparently, and I didn't know this at the time, there's a lot of cattling that happens in Puerto Rico. Did you know that?
No.
I didn't either. So like fresh, I'm not like a huge meat eater, but they serve like really fresh meat, and it's just like a very popular thing to get down there. So right down from the street, like on the corner from our place that we were staying, was a steakhouse. And we went there so many times. It was just like in heaven.
Right.
This Tom's kind of a steak and potatoes kind of dude.
Yeah.
So that was pretty rad for him. I mean, for me too.
Right. Yeah, close by too, walkable. That's easy peasy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we didn't rent a car there either. So everywhere we went was by city bus, which was pretty easy to navigate, which is nice because some cities, they don't have good, like, transportation or public transportation rather.
Yeah.
You know a restaurant's good when you go back multiple times in one trip instead of, trying to branch out and try everything. It's so good that you're like, nope, this is where I'm going.
Right. Yeah. And then you get to know the people that work there, which is really cool.
Right.
You're like, it's us again.
Right.
Yeah.
We're on the same shift. Yeah.
That's so funny. Is it mostly people speaking English in Puerto Rico?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I mean, there is a lot. You hear lots of Spanish.
Yeah, that's what I would.
But most everyone that I had encountered spoke both.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's good.
So if you're not a Spanish speaker, it's a really easy place to visit if you want to get around. And I remember when I was younger and going, the best piece of pizza, and I'm Italian, so this is saying a really big thing. The best piece of pizza I had ever had was called Nick's, and it was on, I think, Condado Drive, but this was 1998. So I took Tom back down there and was so excited to show it to him. And I don't think it was there anymore. Like, we couldn't find it. I was so bummed.
That's sad.
But I will never forget that pizza. It was amazing. Like, the crust was like super thick, but it wasn't like mushy in the middle, like it was just perfect.
That sounds super good.
And the fact that you remembered it from how long ago too.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. And then we went to a few different restaurants because I really wanted to try Puerto Rican food, not just steaks, but even though that was awesome because you could tell like everything just was really fresh and really good. But I went to a traditional Puerto Rican soul food restaurant.
Ooh.
Yeah. And I had a chicken dish, which tasted sort of like maybe like a chicken cacciatore, like kind of like something my grandfather would make, which I miss so much. But it was so good, and it had a side of beans. I think they were like black-eyed, the black-eyed beans.
Black-eyed peas.
Black-eyed peas.
Yeah, I love black-eyed peas.
The band.
Yeah. Fergie was there.
We actually had Fergie for dinner.
Yeah.
So
she showed us around, Everything has like a side of fried plantains.
Oh, I love plantains.
Oh my goodness. I had never had them before. They were amazing. You kind of I would mix them with the beans and so good.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That sounds delicious. Did you love it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about y'all, but I need another beer. First time ever recording, but I'm ready for a second beer, so I'm going to grab one.
Think I'm going to grab another one too, Jenny, because I just took my last sip, so
perfect.
Good idea.
Will you make me another cup of tea?
I will make you another cup of tea, Kim. Yes, I will.
All right.
All right,
perfect.
Well, be right back.
Be right back. All right. I got a new beer this time, ladies.
You did? Jen, what you got?
So it's still from Odell, so the same brewery. But this is a exclusive release, limited edition. And it's called the Cryo, Cryo, IPA.
Okay.
And so I was reading it, and it says the hop notes have hints of orange, apricot, and melon. And it's basically just the way it's made. It's frozen with liquid nitrogen. So it has a little bit more hoppy flavor to it.
Yeah, how does it taste?
Delicious.
It actually sounds something like I would love, so.
Sounds like a good summer beer.
Yeah. Melon and apricots. Ooh.
It's actually super light, but also hoppy. It's kind of weird. It's like a little bit of both.
Okay.
Very good.
Well, me and Kim have the same thing, so let's get back to it.
All right. So Did you do a lot of sightseeing when you were in Puerto Rico?
So the last time I went when I was a kid, I remember my brother writing a report for school, like how I spent my summer vacation sort of deal on this fort that we went to. So I wanted to revisit that stuff and show Tom because he had heard all these like stories about places that I had been. The first place that we went was Old San Juan. So Old San Juan is northwest of San Juan, and San Juan is like central northern part of the island. And so to get to Old San Juan, we had to take a bus, and we went across this like really, really, really long bridge that went over the water, which was really beautiful. And when you get to Old San Juan, it's buildings, almost like it feels like buildings on top of each other, on top of each other, on top of each other. And they're all crazy colors, like really awesome, like orange and yellow and bright green. And it's really hilly. Like the streets are really steep, and there's a lot of people, a lot of tourists. So it's like a really different feel from Condado. Which is more kind of neighborhoody. And this is like definitely more historic and old. Like the buildings are just older. So it was really, 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 really hot outside. And I was trying to navigate our way to the fort in the historic park, like north of Old San Juan. And it was like 1,000,000,000 degrees outside, and we're like trekking up these really steep streets that have like cobblestone and like cars going all over. It was just really crazy and really cool. But I remember a few times we had to stop because it was just so hot, and there were so many tourists like all packed really close together trying to get to the same spot.
Like on the street.
Yeah, so I got some really cool pictures of that. The first thing that you see when you come off of like the old historical area of like where the buildings are is you see like a neighborhood of where people who live in Old San Juan live, and a lot of the backs of like their houses have hand painted murals on them, which is really cool. I saw some really cool like DIY murals that people had done.
That's super cool.
Yeah, so you walk down this really long road to the historical park, and I think it became like a historical site in like the 70s. And you get to go up into the fort, and the fort is super neat because it's still standing from when it was built, and I believe it was like the late 1700s.
Wow.
And there are like lookouts over the ocean from where soldiers would be looking out for attacking ships or oncoming like intruders to the island. And so you can stand in these little, I don't know what they're called. What are these called?
I don't know. Huts, boxes,
Bunkers.
Yeah.
What did Rapunzel live in?
Oh, a tower?
Castle.
A tower? Yeah, a tower, but like something more specific than that. I know, it doesn't matter, but like a tower with like a lookout tower. Yeah, you're right, a tower. So you get this like amazing view of the ocean.
Wow.
Where it's just blue forever. And it's like this deep, deep, dark blue with like rocks, and it looks like something out of a magazine. And I remember I'd never seen anything like that before. Like I had been to Florida and like went to the beach there, but when I was a kid, but like seeing that, like seeing the ocean from like a high view and all of this beautiful vegetation and like rocks and I don't know, it was just amazing.
That's so sweet.
So it was really cool to be able to show that to somebody and be like, look, see, isn't it amazing? So you get to walk around there. I think there's like a little fee to get in, but we got to go around and like look. They had some like historical guides going around, like showing people around, and they had some of the parts of the fort or fortress. It's actually, I think, called a castle, but there are little churches inside where you can go in. And they tell you that like there's placards that tell you like what each spot was for and what they used it for and what part of the war it was a part of or it was used for. There's a huge, 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 huge staircase. Like I felt like 1 billion stairs that we went down. And then if you go down and like underneath this road, you can go around into the cemetery. And the cemetery was probably my favorite part of the whole trip.
Wow.
Was this Catholic cemetery that was right on the water. And it's not just like on the water, it's on a cliff. So I was taking a lot of photographs. I think I was taking like a photography class at the time or something.
Right.
So like all of these old statues that are on these gravestones are like overlooking the water, and they're weathered, and it was just so beautiful. The sculptures were just amazing. And they don't bury their dead under the ground there. It's like in New Orleans. They've got sarcophagus. What is it called? I don't know. Like the crypts.
The crypts. Yeah, the
Crypts. Yeah. So they're crypts, but they're not just like cement boxes. They're just really beautiful.
Wow.
That sounds like right up my alley. Old, creepy, but also beautiful.
Yeah.
Sounds amazing.
I love walking in old cemeteries and seeing old cemeteries too. So
just looking at the dates and looking, it's like people that obviously you never knew, but it's just like, it's cool to like kind of imagine their life.
Yeah, for sure. Especially the ones that are either very, very extravagant or very, very minimal. Like, what did these people do?
You can tell by the way that their crypt was, right? Yeah, that is just so incredible. Even,
like, you can tell when they still have loved ones that are alive and when they don't, because, like, some are just, like, completely falling apart, and then others still have, like, fresh flowers on them.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That's so cool, yeah.
Yeah, it says a lot.
Do you have any pictures from that? We definitely should.
I do. I have a lot of pictures. I can share them with you.
Put those on the Insta.
Definitely. I definitely want to see pictures of the cemetery, the crypts, and the fort for sure. So you'll have to send us over those photos when you get them, so we can upload them. But
yeah, I love going to forts. Like, I know I've been to the one in St. Augustine that we talked about on one of our episodes, and I've been to a couple in Alabama. I want to say Daphne, Alabama is what it's called, but Fort Morgan and Fort Gaines. So I think that's really cool. I actually, this is, I don't know, kind of personal, but I actually have like a book idea in my head that took place in a fort. So if I ever have the energy to actually write the book, maybe.
Oh, it's going to be in a fort? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it would be like a young adult, like preteen kind of age group.
We're very interested in this section.
But
yeah.
It's like all in my head. I just have to actually sit down and get it written, but maybe one day.
You need an assistant.
Yeah, Jenny, you really do.
For real. And that's why I am going down to one job starting in 2 weeks. So I'll have a little bit more free time.
Yeah, for sure. That'll be nice. So, Kim, do you have a least favorite part of this trip?
So, yeah. In the middle of our honeymoon, I think we were there for like three days. Or wait, I don't remember. It was right in the middle. There was a blackout, like a complete blackout, not just a little brownout. It was a blackout. So our hotel, the beautiful hotel that I keep like dreaming about, they didn't have a backup generator. So they put us in a chain hotel, and which was fine. You know, it was fine. But like I said, we didn't have a car. So like we based our trip around staying at this one location.
Right.
So when they moved us, it was way out of the way from all the things that we were trying to do. You know, it made it a little bit more difficult, but that hotel ended up moving us to a different hotel that was like at the airport, which there's nothing walkable in that area at all. So we were in this huge, I mean, the hotel was beautiful, but it was like a huge chain hotel that had a casino inside. So everything was super expensive, and we were obviously not the only ones being rebooked. So we were waiting for hours and hours and hours in the lobby of this hotel to get a room. And it was just like a nightmare. I remember it was our last day of our honeymoon, and we were both bumming pretty hard. We didn't want to go home, and we couldn't do anything. It rained. We couldn't go into the pool. I mean, it rained anyway, so we might as well have been displaced. But I remember we just ordered pizza and watched Bob's Burgers which was nice in itself. Like it was a nice little like cozy last day. But yeah, that was terrible because people's homes were out of power and restaurants had to close, and it was a bummer. But we never go anywhere without it being exciting in that way.
Do you know how long the blackout lasted?
I remember on our way to the airport talking to the Uber driver, and he was telling us that some places had started regaining power, some places on the island, but I'm not really sure what happened after that, much longer.
What I want to know is why did your first hotel that rebooked you, why did that hotel have to rebook you again?
The first place that we had to go to?
Yeah, the first place that they moved you to had to move you again? Were they overbooked?
They were overbooked.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it was just like a chain reaction.
Of just so clog of people having,
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you know what happened with why it went?
I think it was a lot like the one that happened in our region. Yeah.
That just reminds me of the episode of Friends, the blackout. Yeah, well, that sounds like a really awesome trip. I definitely want to go to Puerto Rico. Did you go to the beaches a lot?
Yeah, the beaches are really cool. The surf is really intense, though, so I wasn't really used to that. We were at one beach, and it was very calm, and we were kind of trying to just get away from people and just kind of chill. And we put our backpacks down and, got some drinks out, and it seemed fine. And then all of a sudden the tide had come in and completely just like washed all of us, like our backpacks, our towels. We were just soaked, and it just got rough after that. Yeah, it was really crazy. And there's some parts of that coastline that have a lot of rocks, and there's like little parks that are right at the edge of the rocks, so you can watch the water like break over the boulders, and
that's awesome.
It was really cool. A lot of coral.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was really
beautiful
really
and
beautiful.
painful.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you see like a lot of wildlife when you were there?
That's one thing that I wish we would have done, because a big attraction is going to visit the jungle, like the vegetation, which takes up most of the island, and they have like different like guided tours and things like that, or hiking and things like of that nature. But that's what I wanted to see, was a little bit more nature. But we were just coming off of like getting our wedding and going back to work, and it was a little bit like we needed just kind of relax,
just a chill trip.
Yeah. So if we ever go back, which I hope we do, I'd like to see a little bit more of that vegetation, green.
I definitely want to go to Puerto Rico after this trip, that's for sure.
Yeah, I recommend it. I haven't been or heard much about what it's like there since the hurricane, and I know they had a really difficult time getting disaster funding, so I don't know what it's like, but
yeah, I know
about that.
Yeah, I think some parts are rough and others are better. But I also know they had a couple earthquakes too recently, so I'm not sure.
Oh,
they're just not having the best of luck, the past few years.
Right. Nobody can get a break lately.
Right. I mean, there are literally 2 hurricanes heading into the Gulf of Mexico right now, so have you seen that? I
can't believe this. I did. 2020 is just...
So there are 2 hurricanes heading towards, like, New Orleans.
Yeah.
From like almost
New Orleans is about to be not a thing.
Yeah. And we just talked about it on the last episode. So it's.
Yeah.
I love New Orleans.
I don't know when the last time there were 2 hurricanes like that in the Gulf, if ever, but it's pretty crazy. We're just hoping Panama City doesn't get hit because they're still recovering from, was it?
I remember when, Michael, you said Hurricane Michael?
I think it was, yeah, but Panama City got demolished.
Yeah, I remember that. That was devastating. Yeah, I remember that. When I was when I went to Anna Maria Island, whatever year that was, it was right after Hurricane Sandy, I think. I mean, like literally like the weekend after it had came through, and it wasn't horrible, but a lot of the locals say that there was a lot of stuff that was washed up on shore. So I can't imagine what it would be like to actually have all that damage, like Panama City Beach and New Orleans.
Yeah. So Panama City Beach is my hometown. I think I've said that on here. Yeah, because that's where I met Dakota. But it's funny because when you live there, Panama City Beach is an island. There's bridges to get to it from Panama City or other surrounding cities. And so whenever a hurricane comes through, it's the beach that evacuates and worries. And Panama City is like, well, we're good. We're inland. Even though they're just as close to the water, but they're attached to more land. Well, when hurricane, I'm pretty sure it's Michael, but I could be completely wrong. But when it came through, it actually swerved, and Panama City Beach still got some damage, but Panama City got demolished. Mexico Beach is like completely, there was like one house still standing.
Wow.
Oh my God.
And it's only because the owner had like just recently upgraded to all the hurricane, like shutters, everything.
Sure.
So it's crazy. Even just on my trip last week, just seeing the amount of trees that are down in that area, it's insane. So the fact that there are 2 hurricanes on their way there is pretty crazy.
Terrifying is the word for it.
For sure.
Yeah, 2020 is playing no damn games out here, y'all. 2020 is taking everybody it wants. So
exactly. I actually, growing up in Panama City Beach, though, there was one hurricane that school got shut down and my parents refused to evacuate. And
oh my gosh,
I got so mad because I was scared. I was worried. You know, school's closed. We should be like evacuating. And they were like, no. And we lived less than a quarter mile from the beach at that time.
Wow.
However, the eye actually hit us, and we walked to the beach during the eye. And that's the coolest thing I think I've ever seen in my life, because the waves were completely almost touching the boardwalks, and you could see the clouds and the circular motions above you, but it was clear sky.
Holy shit.
So it's literally clear in the middle of the
terrifying, but also amazing.
Shit.
I love storms.
Yeah.
I mean,
so I was mad at first, but when I got to see that, I'm like, that's a once in a lifetime opportunity. So, unless you live in Florida, and then once a year, but
yeah, that's how I feel. It's terrifying, but it'd probably be pretty cool to see, but still really cool. Major terrifying.
Me and my dad used to watch tornadoes.
See, tornadoes are my biggest fear. They terrify me.
I remember being a kid, Ron and Jan packing up the cat in the truck when it heard a tornado was coming. Instead of, chilling at the house, my dad's trying to outrun it.
Oh my God.
What?
So where would you say is like your favorite place you've ever been?
That's a hard one. I've been all over the U.S., but I've never been to another country. So that's something I want to see. But I think the most beautiful place that I've ever experienced, and it was just like a very quick time I was there, was Vermont. So my husband's family, some of his aunts live in New Hampshire, and we were going like on a fall road trip with his brother and sister. And I'm a sleeper. I'm usually out by the time we get on 75. So I woke up, it was like dawn, and I had looked out the back window, and it was all of these mountains, and they were like all these different colors because of the trees, and all the leaves were changing, and it was like seeing something out of a magazine. And I couldn't...
National Geographic.
Right. I had to like blink my eyes a few times because it didn't seem real. Like maybe I was still sleeping or something. And it was really misty outside, and it was probably like October because we were going to go to Salem. So yeah, that place was just amazing. If I could go back anywhere, it would be probably Vermont. Just
that's so awesome.
Spend more time.
Yeah. I have to say New England in general has amazing falls, because when I lived on Cape Cod for that fall, I would bike to work at that time, and I just came around the corner one day and everything was like orange, red, yellow, super pretty. Yeah. And I think Ben & Jerry's, I think their headquarters is in Vermont. So
yeah, I think you're right.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I think you can go get one of the, maybe not COVID, but back in the day you could go get the big one and share it with all your friends. Like
BC.
Cute. Well, what about your bucket list destinations?
Oh,
your number top one. Yeah.
My number one. Well, I actually have two. Okay. So I really love ancient Egyptian art. Like, it's my favorite.
That's my number one.
Is it? I would love to
Egypt,
see
yes.
Egypt. Yeah, just would love it. But my number one is my family comes from Pescara, Italy, and I would just really like to see that before I die.
Before Italy's underwater.
Yeah, so I would love to go there. I hear so much about it from my mom, and my grandparents used to talk about it all the time.
Where in Italy is it?
So it's right on the Adriatic, called Pescara. That's the city. And the neighboring city is where my grandfather was from Abruzzo, and my grandmother was from Pescara, and they're like right next door to each other and kind of like compete a little bit, from what I understand.
That's funny.
So they used to give each other like really hard time. Like, well, okay, well, you're from Pescara.
Right.
Blah, 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 you know. But it's just
so
like
cute.
Friendly camaraderie.
Yeah. But I saw pictures on Google Maps and tried to kind of like do a little virtual tour, and it was amazing.
Aww.
So yeah, I still have some family there, so I would love to meet them.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, so I was saying I love Colorado. The only way I move in out of Colorado is if it's to Italy. So I would move to Italy.
Yeah. From the sound of the story that you told about Italy in your last podcast, it sounded awesome.
Yeah, I'll move there tomorrow. Bye.
Let's all go.
I wonder if the culture in Italy has changed since COVID, because I know my family, I've never been there, so I can't say, but my family's so touchy and like kissy and like embrace so much that not being able to do that in a country that it seems like just regular, just normal.
Well, thanks again for coming on. This was so much fun. I really want to go to Puerto Rico now.
Thank you for having me.
Seriously, thanks for coming. It's been so fun.
Absolutely.
Will you come back and talk to us about another trip?
Yeah, I would love to. I can't wait to go on another trip, and hopefully that'll be soon.
Yeah, seriously, same.
Yeah. And it was nice to meet you, even though it's not in person.
Yeah, you too.
It's the new normal, right? COVID video.
It's COVID
Yeah,
video.
there you go.
Blockbuster video. Can we use that one because it doesn't exist anymore?
I just saw something where it was like an Airbnb that's like an old Blockbuster.
I saw that. Yeah.
We got to do that.
Yeah.
It was like, it was on our group. But yeah, keep an ear out for next week. Next week, we're going to be talking to Jaimie's cousin Katrina about their trip to Hawaii.
That'll be a fun one.
Yep. Mahalo.
Aloha.
Yeah, just make sure to head over to our Instagram, JetSetHersPod. You can email us at jetsetHers@gmail.com, and then head over to the website, jetsethers.com.
So you guys do know we are on Spotify now as well. That makes it Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, and Spotify. Give a like, rate, review, all of those above. 5 stars. You know, you're having fun with us. We're having fun with you. Please hang out with us. Come back next week, and let's go somewhere. Bye.
Bye.